Welcome back to The Quantum Truth. Sherry Anshara Unleashed. And today we're going to get to the core of fear. So, how does fear affect us, Sherry? Affect us, infect us, and what's the last one again?
Effect us.
Effect us. Sorry, I forgot about that part. So, can you go into that and how not to be ruled by fear?
Okay, so fear is lack of information.
Okay.
And so but correct information. Fear is lack of correct information. I said it before, it's not false evidence appearing real. It's ridiculous.
Right.
So if my clients come to me, and so this is where I love technology. So if they require an MRI or a CT scan or whatever it is, then we get it because it's comfortable for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they even send me their reports.
Wow.
Now, am I trained in it? No, but I know emotionally because all disease is emotionally and emotional, and it has an emotional affect, effect, and then the infect. So the infect on us will turn into a dis-ease, a disruption in the body. It can be debilitating. So here is a fear, and they did this. Well, your body says, the DNA, that you have this in your family, so you're going to get it.
Right.
And so, and you can be told that maybe in your 20s or 30s or whatever age or stage it is, that sticks in the unconscious. So the subconscious is where psychiatrists and psychologists work in that left computer brain.
Right.
But they keep it stuck in the past.
Right.
But in the unconscious, it's stewing there.
Right.
Still
it's stuck.
And it stays stuck to whatever age or stage that you're told that, and then you belief system it.
Huh.
And when you belief system it, it becomes part of the core of that illness or disease.
Okay, so if I wanted to eliminate fear, I'd really have to go back to that moment that it was developed in the first place. Is that correct?
Exactly. And that's what I do with my clients. We go back to the origin, whether it's that we start with this lifetime.
Right.
But sometimes the origin is from the continuum.
Oh wow! So it's from the previous one, and is that where we get genetic predisposition and those type of things?
Yes.
Huh.
And so I'm not going to be predisposed because I'm not a disposal.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I'm going to junk it and dispose it from my body. So it's through language, through wordology is your biology, and I'm not creating a mantra, but for them. For instance, a client of mine, she had a mantra, and the idea of, if you call it a mantra, but it was a statement that she said, about having happy, healthy cells. So I even say this to myself. So I speak to all the cells, particles, and molecules in my body to the subatomic level and tell them to remember being perfectly healthy and operating perfectly. I say it to myself, and it's amazing what happens.
Yeah.
And I can focus on a certain area or whatever. And so your body has this brilliance. But the fear is the insidious fear that is in the subconscious. And so people will say, well, your family has this. So, and these are the experts. You're the expert on yourself. So you're going to get it.
Right.
So you have to look at the idea. Are you and I'm not a dietitian, so don't go there. But are you eating the same way?
Right.
So when someone says, in my family, we're all fat.
Yeah.
Well, did you start out that way?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So you've got to consider what it is you're doing. What is it that you're doing? So if you're constantly eating fat, your body has to store that. Mm-hmm. And so so I teach people muscle testing in a completely different way of, does this serve me? If I'm in Sprouts or Whole Foods, I put even products up to my chest. If I go forward, I take it. If I go back, I don't. And if nothing happens, then it's up to me. But you do not have to be predisposed, or you're going to dispose yourself, called death, or you're going to suffer. So here is how subliminally it gets. Well, I watched my mother and my family suffer. So now I have to.
Right. So I have to because they did.
So you validate the invalidation of yourself to validate them.
So this is really key. So like for me, I've always had this positive guilt for my family. right? Because I've seen them work. My mom and dad are still together to this day. They worked their butts off to get us to where we needed to do, and we were poor growing up. But I still hold that positive guilt, like I owe them something.
There's no such thing as positive guilt.
Well, yeah, it's kind of oxymoron. I know.
That's an oxymoron.
I guess
being
it's
the
just
case.
guilt then. I
Yes.
guess it's just guilt. But
So-
for me, it's like, man, I have to do something for what they gave to me, right?
No, but see, that was your contract.
Right.
And there's somebody out here doing soul contracts. Get over it. That is such a metaphysical program. So I teach people to break the contract, the con of the track we're on.
Right.
So that you can make agreements, and you can have agreements where you agree to agree or agree to disagree.
Right.
But you don't have to carry over what it is that they're doing.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't make any sense because you are an individual.
Right.
And so being who you are, you had a contract with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what you say. I, Cassidy,
Cassidy.
cancel the
Can cancel the
contract and get off that track
and get off that track
with my parents.
with my parents.
They did the best and worst they could
They did the best and worst they could
with what they knew and didn't know.
what they knew and didn't know.
And most of the time they didn't know.
Most of the time they didn't know.
Because who knew?
Who knew?
So without judging,
Without judging,
I just have an agreement with them.
I just have an agreement with them.
So I don't have to carry their stuff.
So I don't have to carry their stuff.
So it doesn't have to affect,
So it doesn't have to affect,
infect me,
infect me,
and I don't have to prove anything.
and I don't have to prove anything.
Anything. So
Huh.
I works when I works,
It works when I works.
and I don't when I don't.
And I don't when I don't.
And that's it. And that takes the burden off. So that's how we get infected, that lower. So when you get infected in the left computer brain with the belief systems of duality, you lower your resonance.
Mhm.
When you lower your resonance, you're actually lowering your immune system.
Right. Okay.
And then whatever they had, you say, well, they had it, so I'm going to get it.
Interesting. So that's pretty awesome as far as that. So in order to kind of break the contract that has been given to all of us to a degree, right? When we come into this world, we all have a contract to come through, is what we're
Correct.
talking about. So in order to break that contract, we need to be able to state it into existence. Is that what we're getting about?
Yeah.
About I take my power back over what has been written for me.
Exactly. And then you write your own script. I actually remember being in my mother's womb. I
Oh,
do.
wow.
And I'm going,
Amazing.
I got to get the heck out of here. I'm
Yeah.
not kidding you. And I was a preemie.
Right.
A fat preemie, but I was a preemie.
Yeah.
But I had a connection to my sister. My sister was always like my mother. She was 12
Right.
years older. And I had no connection to my mother. I can say it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean my mother was bad. She was wonderful. She
Right.
was fabulous. But we had zero connection.
Right.
The connection, not a contract, but the connection was my sister. And even her children, they're all adults. She had her first child when I was 7. They even say it to this day. Our mother was really your mother.
Right.
And my own mom was wonderful, but we had no connection.
Right.
And there is not a similarity. But this is funny and about the contracts. How people would say, your mom and sister are so close. Aren't you jealous? And I go, no, she takes that woman off my hands. No. Without judging her. So that's the humor part of it. But the fact is, you don't have to do what they did to validate the invalidation of you. But because you came here, Cassidy, and all of you did, to be who you are, not who you are not.
Right.
Because you cannot not be. It's impossible. You
Right.
can get your stomach in knots, but you cannot not be.
I am that I am.
Yes, and you are multidimensional.
Yeah.
And you came here to live and to create and experience what you experienced, your creations all the time. And that's how you expand. There's no higher self and lower self, there's just the self. So it's about expansion. And the more you expand and the more you are in your power, the healthier you are.
Wow, that's amazing. So that's all we have for this episode of The Quantum Truth. Wow, that's amazing. So that's all we have for this episode of The Quantum Truth. Sherry Anshara Unleashed. Please go ahead and find out more information at www.sherryanshara.com. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.